You are listening to the FTWpodcast.com, where we talk about wrestling in all of its laughable glory. Here's a clip from this week's episode.
All right. Speaking of useless arguments that probably won't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for an FTW-sanctioned Lumberjack match. A no DQ, no count-out match to determine who is right. The ring is surrounded by every member of the FTW podcast, as I can see on our Skype. Inside the ring stands two men, vaguely men, who are determined to make sure that everyone knows that they are correct. Fighting out of the blue corner, standing at 4'2" and weighing in at 235 pounds, he is hailing from Cincinnati, Ohio, and he is Kevin. And
apparently I'm a small fat ass, thanks.
Well, you're wider and taller. Fighting out of the red corner, standing in at 8'3" and weighing in at 375 pounds from Chicago, Illinois, it is Rob. Now, gentlemen, do you understand the rules? Do you understand that if you falter at any point in this match, we will mock the ever-living shit out of you? And do you understand that?
Yes.
Then let's get this started. Now, okay, good. Let's get this started. I'm so excited. I'm talking over you guys. Answer the following question. True or false? Inside the Hell in the Cell, Triple H versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 28 will be fantastic. I'm about to flip my $50 American Buffalo 24-karat gold coin. Rob, you get the first minute. Go.
False. I mean, let's take a look at this. First and foremost, with the PG era, no blood means there's no real Hell in the Cell. It's basically a cheap imitation of what it used to be. The match loses a lot of its prestige. And both Undertaker and Triple H have been held back by injuries and their age. I really think this match is going downhill.
You still have time.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
Due to
their age and injuries, even if you try to push the Hell in the Cell to what these two have made it in the past, they can't take it anymore.
You still have time. What the hell?
Seriously,
what is this?
Seriously, I guess I'll take that extra time. This is like the first time in the history of our show that Rob's been under time.
Twice in a row. All right, that's fine.
I'll save it. I'll save my other points for later.
He's banking the time.
He's rope-a-doping you, Kev. All right, go. Your minute starts now.
Bottom line for this right now is this is a true statement. These are the two biggest superstars in the WWE, other than maybe Cena. The two top guys that can transcend a generation. And they talked about it. The way they played it up is perfect. We're the last of a dying breed. It has to be us. It has to end this way. This is the last one. And, some people say this is a gimmick match. No, this really isn't a gimmick match. This is more than a gimmick match. This match has defined careers. When I say Mick Foley to everyone in the chat and in this around the ring, quote unquote, what do you think of? You think of Mick Foley flying off the top of the cage, falling into the announcer's table at Hell in the Cell 2, quite possibly one of the greatest matches of all time, at least top 5 for me, probably top 3. This match transcends those things. Fine, there's not going to be blood. Who cares? They're still going to beat the hell out of each other. And the only way that they can do it, the only way that they can go all out and lay it all on the line for 20-0 is to put it in the cage, Hell in the Cell, make it happen.
All right. Pull you guys apart. Rob, come here, buddy. Rob, come here. You want to take Kevin down? I'm going to give you 2 letters. And these are the only 2 letters that you need to know in order to take him down. PG.
Exactly.
Kevin Skullfucking.
Oh, that is such crap, Joe. Come on, you got to give him some kind of advice.
Like
Keep going with it, Kevin.
Okay,
right,
so like they haven't done things in PG. Okay, there's not going to be any blood. Fine. Is there going to be tables? Is there going to be chairs? Is there going to be possibly a ladder? I doubt there'll be a ladder, but even still. Tables, chairs, no holds barred, possibly outside of the cage. You can still go outside of the cage.
Ron, get him.
PG.
I'm waiting. Okay, here's what you're forgetting to take into consideration here, Kevin. The Hell in the Cell match requires a certain level of physicality, even if you want to leave the blood out of it, which these two guys can't do anymore. I mean, Undertaker has fought maybe a couple of matches since the match last year at WrestleMania. Contrary to what a lot of people like to think, I don't believe that the match last year between Triple H and Undertaker was as great as, say, HBK and Undertaker's first WrestleMania match of their two before Michaels retired. And this match is not going to get any better just because it's Hell in the Cell. You can't use Hell in the Cell. It's throwing Band-Aid on the wound. And the PG thing is going to severely hold it back. And
they might not be they might not any longer be in their primes, but you are talking about two well-rested guys. Taker hasn't wrestled a match in a year. Ring rust, but irrelevant. There's got to be him doing stuff at house shows in the back and getting ready for this. Even if they're not in their prime, they're still going to be able to put their bodies on the line. They did tons of over-the-top things.
No, Kevin.
Last year in the match, that wasn't even a sell.
No, Kevin. The Undertaker has had a couple of very high-profile matches, in the very distant or recent past, where he couldn't make it through the entire match, where his body literally gave out on him. And now you're going to put him in Hell in the Cell, and you're going to think that that's somehow going to make it awesome, and that this is going to do anything. No, it's going to wear his body down faster, and he's not going to be able to make it through the match. Triple H, yeah, he might rise to the occasion. He might be able to deliver. But can he deliver and carry the Undertaker at the same time? I don't think he can.
You're talking about two professionals. They might not be in their primes anymore, in their prime condition. You were talking about two consummate professionals who know how to work together. And it also matters about the story that they tell. The first Hell in the Cell was one of the best stories I've ever seen in the wrestling ring, where Taker kind of stalked Shawn Michaels the entire time because he knew he wasn't going anywhere. Shawn had to turn it on his head and start sacrificing his own body to make things happen. They could do the same sort of thing here. The cerebral assassin beats the hell out of the Undertaker. Maybe the Undertaker comes back, does some things, putting his own body on the line. Just as important as the story they might tell inside of that cage, it doesn't necessarily have to be about all the physicality. Though I still think that's going to happen. The story requires that they be... I'm sorry, what?
No, I'm just, you kind of... I just want to make sure that you weren't, your Skype wasn't acting up or anything. Anyway, continue.
The problem with with that concept, Kevin, is the fact that, let me give you one match from, not too far in the past. Last Man Standing, Undertaker versus The Big Show. The Big Show, or Undertaker, was clearly supposed to win that match, as evidenced by the fact that the referee got almost to 10, and then had to stop the count and urge Undertaker to get up. The Undertaker is probably one of the best wrestlers of all time. I'm not going to argue that. I'm a huge Undertaker fan, but he is not just slightly past his prime. He is well past his prime. His injuries and his age have made it almost impossible for him to perform, which is why he doesn't perform anymore. And now you're going to throw him in Hell in the Cell. I understand what you're saying. The WWE could try a few things. I just don't think that whatever they try is going to work. I don't see any way this turns out to be a good match.
Okay, I got to separate you guys for a second here, because clearly you two are you're entirely too good right now. Okay, both of you. Okay, this is annoying. You're supposed to be tripping over each other and sounding like idiots so we can make fun of you. I do want to bring up a couple things. One, first, the last time Taker was in a Hell in a Cell, he lost to Kane in 2010. Two, Triple H won his last Hell in a Cell match alongside HBK in 2009. And three, Diva Jill brought it up. The only wrestling Taker has done in the last year has been with Michelle McCool. Triple H had to carry Undertaker through most of the last match last year, and it was ugly. A cell will just make it uglier. But Kevin brought up a really good point with the storyline. So keep that in mind.
Jill, thank you. I'm glad somebody agrees with me.
Stop pandering to the crowd and get back in there.
So Rob needs it to be a handicap match. Got it.
All right, well then, hey, let me back up Kevin. I thought last year's match was fantastic.
Yes.
It might have been slow. It might have been a bad match to Diva Jill, but, overall, it was a great story match, and that's exactly what we're going to get this year. It's not going to be a great wrestling match, no, in the sense of wrestling moves, but in the stories that wrestling tells, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
And I don't know
Garvin,
how you guys
I
can't
don't-
see that.
Garvin,
I-
you really beat me to it, because I was thinking all I remember, Triple H puts him up for the tombstone, hits it, arm. He does even the hair flip 1-2, and he kicks out. I mean, come on, that
I'm
was
getting
great.
goosebumps now just thinking about it, Kevin.
Yes!
Goosebumps. See,
But,
Rob,
Now, as
real
long as
goosebumps.
Edge doesn't come from inside underneath the ring and level Taker with a camera, I think we'll be all set.
I just don't think it's going to be a good match. Let's take a look at the last 2 WrestleMania matches that Undertaker's had. Well, last 3 matches. The first one that he fought against Shawn Michaels. That match was awesome. It was epic. Those two put on one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen in my life. Then next year they did the same thing. It wasn't half as good as the match before that, and we all said it. We all were disappointed in that match. Now, last year in WrestleMania, they came in. We had a good, you can argue the good story match. I can see that. I kind of agree with it, but I don't think it was as good as people were expecting when you looked at the names Triple H and The Undertaker. And now, what's happening is, because you're throwing it in Hell in the Cell, you've got people like you, Kevin. I mean, there are a lot of people like you who think just because it's Hell in the Cell and it's The Undertaker and it's Triple H, that it's going to be this awesome match. And that's going to set the bar a lot higher than I think these two are prepared physically or mentally to be able to deliver.
I want to interject one quick thing on that, though, before I get cut off or anything. I do agree with Kevin a little bit more than Rob. Rob, you do bring up some good points, but I overall agree with Kevin. And there's one big factor in this too. You're right. The fact that I thought personally Triple H and Undertaker last year was very good, all things considered. You're right. Taker's health and his wrestling ability is questionable. And to be fair, we don't know. We haven't seen him in a year. We haven't seen what he's done. I'm not saying he's going to be at the prime of his wrestling ability, clearly, but we don't know if he's gotten better. I'm just being, trying to be nice to Taker. But anyway, long story short, my big point is that and that's trying to insult wrestling fans in general, wrestling doesn't really matter much in a Hell in a Cell match. Being able to physically perform an actual technical wrestling match inside the structured Hell in a Cell won't really come much into play. It's mainly going to be a kick-ass brawl fight and just a barbaric fight between the two of them. Might start off as a wrestling matchup.
Right,
but,
which the two can't do anymore. That's my point.
No, and I kind of do agree with you. But in the sense of the Hell in a Cell match, it's not going to matter that much. At least not after the first quarter of the match. It's not going to matter. These two are just going to beat the living hell out of each other. And that's
So you think if these guys have a good, let's say, first quarter of the match, that'll make it a good match. That if they go into it and they just beat the ever living crap out of each other for the first few minutes of the match and something, that'll take care of them having to slow down for the end or possibly end the match earlier than they normally would.
You're asking if the ends justify the means, more or less.
More or less.
It depends. It depends, because I've seen Hell in a Cell matches suck, and I mean horribly suck. And it depends on how far they're willing to go. And the whole PG thing is a big factor.
Hamper.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing, and it's a question of whether or not they're going to break the PG or not. If they you can have a good match and still keep it PG, but in the Hell in a Cell, no. I think you're right. If they keep it PG, if they keep it toned down, and they limit what they do in the Hell in a Cell match itself, no. I'm just saying is that in your case, you're debating of, okay, Taker and Triple H, they can't have a good wrestling match. To be honest with you, unless Triple H is carrying it, I agree with you. Taker is not in his prime condition anymore to have a stellar classic wrestling match. But can he still deliver at Mania and Hell in a Cell? I still think so.
Well, we'll see when WrestleMania comes along.
All right. Time to go to the judge's decision. Final thoughts, you guys. Rob, what's your final thoughts, given everything that happened in this debate? You get one last chance to state your case, and then Kevin does, and we're both going to call you idiots and move on.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, I really can't say it any better. I mean, I think the age, the injury factor, the factor that Undertaker hasn't wrestled in a year, and there are certain expectations for Hell in the Cell that the WWE can't meet anymore because of where they've gone as a company and where these wrestlers are because of where they're at in their lives. I don't think that the wrestlers and the company can meet the expectations that's going to be put on it, and thus I think it's a bad idea to tease us with it.
Okay, Kevin?
19-0 to become 20-0 leaves the hype for this incredibly high. I think that alone, putting that in the cell with the two biggest superstars the WWE has for the last 20 years, well, the last 10 years for Triple H and the last 20 years for Taker, puts this on a pedestal to make it a great match. I will also say that the thought that Triple H could possibly win this, which people brought up in the chat tonight, also adds an air of intrigue that I think will make this possible. Remember, I don't think Triple H will win it, but I love the fact that people think that it's possible.
I don't think it's a possibility, but
Okay, whatever. No, you had your chance, world.
sorry,
Right.
I'm sorry.
The winner is us, the
Go now.
fans, for watching this exciting debate. Great minds coming together. No, this match is going to be spectacular. It's the same thing. Like, look, Rob, you're right. They're old, okay? But at the same time, so was Clint Eastwood, and Gran Torino was still amazing, and he took down a gang in that one. So, there. So I just want to let you guys know, you're both wrong. I'm right. Clint Eastwood's awesome. Doubt me. Say I'm wrong. Who won the Lumberjack match on our show? Kevin or Rob? Do you think that the Hell in a Cell Triple H Undertaker match at WrestleMania 28 will be fantastic or a disaster? Let us know. We're gonna post it on Facebook and Twitter and all kinds of other stuff.
Well, you've heard our thoughts, but now we want to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and even join us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. at the FTWpodcast.com.